those that do just partake in wine. They have really good wine. So it was a good time. But I'll tell you, at the end of the day, no place like home. No place like home. So glad to be home. I just came from West. I shared with them that I have renewed energy. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of prayers. I do believe in prayer. And God has been good to just remind me of all the blessings we have in this world and life. And as we know, we've all been through challenges lately. And they continue to be challenged. And I'm going to talk about some of that here in a second. But with that being said, even though I may come across disorganized sometimes, I'm actually somewhat organized. And I did not get a chance to really put my notes together. So I got stuff all over the place. So with that being said, bear with me as I go through this, because I really want to leave some time to hear from you and your feedback and thoughts. But I want to get started with a couple things. And the first thing I want to start with is, again, just acknowledgement of appreciation for your patience. So internally, we have been joking, probably not the right word when I say joking, but we have the saying almost every hour, you cannot make this up. I mean, literally, everything that we're going through, everything that you're going through, you cannot make this up. And so I was joking with Wes, I said, whoever's got the playbook to how to handle all this stuff, can you please give it to us? Because really, we're writing a playbook, and we've been calling some bad plays. And you know what? We hear about those bad plays from some people. And then we go back and we get with the coaches be in the committees, talking about it, and we try again, run a new play. And a lot of things we're doing is with good intentions, hopefully a quicker process. It's funny, I will say, not by a lot of people, but by some, who like to say, oh, we're losing the Quaker identity, we're losing the Quaker process. And I'm like, no, not really. If you're not truly ingrained in friends' homes, one, you don't lose that. I mean, we've got over 60 years of history of Quaker process. And so Quaker process is different. It can be a little long as you try to build, well, sometimes the word consensus is overused, but as you try to contemplate ideas and thoughts and trying to come to a sense of what's best for the community. COVID has messed that up a little bit because in some situations, we don't have a choice. And we got to make quick decisions, and sometimes not the best decisions, but it's decisions we have at the time with the resources we have. So with that being said, I want to say thank you for your continued patience. I want to say thank you for your feedback. But most importantly, hear this. We are not alone. And sometimes I have failed in my mind where I feel like, woe is me. I'm the only one going through this, or friends' homes is the only one going through this. No, the world is going through this. We have started a text chain among some of the team members when we're out in the world, the real world. When we see signs about, closed due to lack of staffing, sorry, we don't have Chick-fil-A sandwiches, who am I talking about there, due to supply chain issues, or sorry, product didn't come in, so your Amazon order, Prime, next day delivery is 3 months out. Hold up, why did I pay $99 for Prime? Or $110 now. So what I want to share with you is that we're not alone. And during this last 15 months, I have been overwhelmed by the people that have really stepped up. And I'm talking about residents and staff. That in the face of adversity have said, hey, what can I do? Right? I've actually had several people say, if not me, then who? And so what I want to thank you is you residents stepping up, even volunteering, helping out in our healthcare, helping out wherever you can. We appreciate that. And so we've been sharing that we're on the sea, and the sea's rough right now. But we are looking for that beautiful little bird that has a little twig in their mouth saying there's land right over there. And we're looking for the land. We haven't seen it yet. But we know it's there, and we will get past this. And so I want to share some exciting things in the midst of some changes and everything else that we can kind of glom onto to kind of say, you know what? It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So, the first thing I want to tell you, again, these are all kind of random, COVID vaccine. So we just heard, and Missy, you may already know, okay, well, I'm almost still Missy's thunder, because I don't think it's in your update yet. But I just heard, when I was at West, that Neil Medical has told us that they can do the COVID vaccine booster. I don't know if it's true here about West. I know it's October 1st. So what I'll tell you is Missy will be working with the team, getting information out on the date, the protocol, process to sign up. My understanding that we will have the option of both the Moderna and Pfizer booster. It will be done through Neil Medical. Question is, well, who should get the booster? And so I'll always tell you, I'm not a doctor, although I did sleep at a Holiday Inn, I think a couple weeks ago. It's a joke. So, okay, wait. All right. My wife says I'm not funny. I think I'm funny. Always check with your doctor. But for what our understanding is that the effectiveness of the vaccine that we received back in January and February, after about 8 months, lose some effectiveness with the Delta variant, some other things. It's probably a good idea to get the booster. I'll be getting the booster. It's open for staff and residents. So if you have any doubt, check with your physician. But we're very excited about this news, and again, for Friends Homes being part of that process. Now, as it relates to our staff, I'm very excited. Kudos to Don and Missy and the team. We were like at 35% staff vaccinated. We're like at 83, 85%. That is huge in our world, huge. So a lot of people you probably heard of going to, everybody's required to be vaccinated. Friends Homes has not decided that yet. And if you'll allow me to explain why. Now, the government here recently just came out with a mandate saying if you accept Medicaid and Medicare money, which we do, you are required to, healthcare employees have to be vaccinated. And so, the government says, and then you got to read through 500 pages of paperwork to actually see what it means. So we are not at this point knowing exactly the date that's required, but we're also looking for a carve-out, not for a permanent carve-out, but a short-term carve-out. Because I told you 83 to 85% of our staff are vaccinated, which means what, 15 to 17 are not. That's a lot of people. And those people are in nursing and housekeeping and dining. And so what we want to know is, if there's a carve-out, that little bit of time that will be allowed for us to try to educate those staff. Most of them are embedded, so if they haven't got it yet, most likely they're not going to get it. But we can continue to try to educate them on why they should get it, or we can try to recruit to replace them before they leave us. So we don't know if there'll be a carve-out. We're investigating. Missy's staying on top of it. We'll know more in the next couple of weeks. But we do feel long-term vaccination requirements coming down the pipeline. We feel so strongly about that, that although officially we haven't made a decision, probably the next couple of days, we are leaning toward all new hires starting at Friends Homes will be required to either be vaccinated or to get fully vaccinated within 1 month. You may say, well, why? Why would you do that? One, we believe in the vaccination. We believe it's the best thing for Friends Homes. Two, we think the vaccination is going to be required somewhere down the road, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And the last thing we want is, yet again, to hire somebody that's not vaccinated, that 60 days from now says, I'm out of here, and we got to start all over again. How many of y'all are tired of training new staff? Y'all are not responsible for training. That is our job. How many of y'all are helping us with training? All of y'all. And we appreciate that. So very excited about where we came with the vaccine. We'll learn more over the next couple of weeks, but stay tuned on that. But what I want to tell you, I'm a numbers guy, and I think numbers convey a message. I want to share something with you to put things in perspective. And remember, we are not alone. This has happened not only in Friends Homes, this happened in Presbyterian Homes communities, the Wellsprings, the world in general. Typically, Friends Homes has between 400 and 425 employees at any given time. We're working on our budget for next year, which I'm going to talk about. And so I pulled some numbers, and I said, give me the list of all active employees. It was like 360, 365. That's 65 people. Now, you may not think that's a lot. That's a lot, and you know why I know you know that's a lot? Because you're feeling it. You're feeling it in the dining room. How many people are happy that what we're having to do on the weekend? Nobody. Let me tell you who's not happy. I know that Missy's not happy. I'm not happy. Alex not happy. These are the facts. We don't have enough bodies. How many people are happy that we're going to have to pull back on our housekeeping in September? I'm not happy about it. Daryl's not happy about it. Yeah, boo, right? But you tell me what we do. What do we do? So, what I did is I asked our HR, I said, 365 people, that can't be right. Can you send me the list of positions we're looking for? She said, sure, I can do that. So she did that. We were looking for 65 people. So the math works. 365 plus 65, actually it's 430, so maybe it's a little high. We're looking for 24 housekeepers. Housekeepers and dietary aides. We're looking for 24 CNAs. The crux of our healthcare system. We're looking for 14 LPNs. We're looking for 3 RNs. So I can stand here all day long and tell you how great our services are and what we are supposed to be doing. But if we don't have the bodies to do it, the facts are we got to make decisions in order to take care of who we can take care of. And our primary focus is taking care of the most vulnerable, which is our healthcare. And that's why we had to make the decision about housekeeping. We had to redirect those people to our healthcare center to make sure those people that can't take care of themselves at all can help us from infection control and cleaning, things like that. Now, you may say, well, what are you doing? You just accepting this? No, we're not accepting it. We've been working our tails off for about a year now, over a year actually. And we've been putting a lot of things in place. There's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of money out there that a lot of people are able to throw money at people. So one of the texts that came through the other day was Chick-fil-A sign saying we're hiring starting at $19 an hour. $19 an hour. And I'm nervous because I just said that, so I'm thinking, Angela, she's like, I like Chick-fil-A, I might go up there. I will tell you about 80% of our employees make less than $19 an hour. Okay? So, one of the things to tell you, where does all of our money come from? Yeah, so we're trying to be respectful. But at the same time, we got to take care of people, right? So we have been working very diligently with trying to figure out how do we accomplish this. We've been working at programs, not only from a recruitment standpoint, but a retention standpoint. And over the last month, some really good things have come out. We're putting into place. One of the things that we're going to be doing here very soon, and our board is meeting in the next, well, we're meeting today, but over the next 3 or 4 weeks, about our budget for next year. And so I'm going to share a little bit about our budget here in a second, but we are going to work diligently to get our wages up for our frontline staff. And I want to I'm going to give you another number, perspective. Typical increase for our employees is about 3% year after year. That is an expense of about $225,000 to the bottom line. So 3% increase to our 400-some employees is about $225,000. In next year's budget, we're putting in $900,000 of wage increases. Now, what I'm hoping your first thought when I said that was, yes, and not, hold up. Now, what does that mean about me, right? How's that impact me? Well, I'm always looking for the silver lining. I promise you, I'm not going to come back to you in not January, maybe October, November, and tell you that's all on you. I'm not. I told you for the last 5 years, my goal is to be respectful of your pocketbook. But at the same time, understanding we got a home to take care of. And we got to take care of the people that support our home. So over the last 5 years, we have been raising that living wage. We've gone from pretty much paying people $8, $9 an hour 5 years ago to our lowest wage right now is $11.50, which in 2020 was the living wage for a single person. Guess what the living wage is now for a single person in Guilford County? $14.40. It went up $3. So if your pocketbook has not been hit, I'm not talking about at Friends Homes, out in the world about inflation and cost, it's real, people. It is real. I heard, and this is good news from y'all, again, we're always looking for silver linings. I heard the cost of living for Social Security is going up in January. I've heard a lot of different numbers, but I'm going to be conservative. I heard maybe at least 5%. Have y'all heard that? I'm looking for nods. Have y'all heard anything? Y'all haven't heard anything. Okay, so I've heard that we're looking around 5% for cost of living for Social Security. So again, I think that says the government understands what's going on in the world and trying to do something about it from that standpoint, above and beyond the stimulus money that's been sending out. So with that being said, You know, we got these new townhomes that come on board. We've got some new units that will be coming on board at West, which has been helping to generate additional revenue and stuff, which is great. So where I told you 5 years ago, my job, my goal is to try to be as consistent as possible with your annual increases, which really has been 3%, I think, since the cows came home, whatever. So some years it should be more than 3%, yeah. Some years should be a little less than 3%, yeah. But overall, it's been 3%, just so you can plan. I feel confident standing for you today that next year it's going to be more than 3%. All right, it's going to be more than 3%. So I just want to tell you that it's going to be presented to the board because I had to find a lot of money, and we found the majority of the money through various things. All right, not a reduction in service. I'm going to share some things that are in our budget. Not a reduction in service. We were able to find some revenue sources using some of our investments, things like that. But I want to go ahead and tell you that there will most likely be an increase more than the 3% that you've been used to seeing. But I'm hopeful, and I can't say more than that because it's really, the board hasn't even seen the budget. So they've got to vet it, they've got to go through it, they've got to challenge us. So could it still be 3%? Yeah, it still could be 3%. But we are not recommending that. We're recommending something a little north of that. But as I know more, I'll let you know. Please don't walk out of here in a panic. Don't walk out here going, oh, the world's coming. It's not. I know when I ask for your trust and faith that we are doing everything we can, and we're doing it with the right principles, values, and process. I'll ask you to continue to trust us through this process. Hopefully that whatever you're thinking is a lot worse than what it's actually going to be, and you'll have a smile on your face, although nobody wants increases. I get it. But with next year's budget, I want to share that. $200,000 are normal. We're going with almost $900,000. And the worst part about that is, it's still not going to get us to where we really probably need to be. We will never be able to compete with the hospital. Never. Right? Even though they're a nonprofit, they got an endless well. So we know that. But where we're struggling is, there's a lot of places that are offering a lot of dollars that our staff are saying, I got to go where the money is. And so what can we do? What can we do collectively to help? So what I'm going to ask of you is this. Let's talk a little bit about security and transportation. Okay? So one of the things, and I want to wrap up on that one with a point or a challenge, if you will. So security and transportation is something that's very important to us. And we have been struggling as of late. Struggling from a recruitment standpoint, a retention standpoint. And so a lot of times when you hire new security people, how many people remember when you first came to friends' homes how easy it was to get around this place and not get lost, right? I'm being funny again. I still get lost. I was joking that I could probably blindfold some of y'all, turn you around 4 times and move you somewhere, and it would take you a week to figure out, now where am I? It's a big campus. So a security person coming on, really quickly, we have to train them, not only with protocols, they have to understand the layout. Where is Fox? Now, how do I actually get to Fox? Where's the door for Fox? Well, you can go this way or you go that way. So it's very overwhelming. And so when we're trying to bring people in and train them, are we falling a little flat? Yeah, we are, right? Because trying to get people, retain people. We just hired a gold mine as it relates to security and transportation. So if you'll give me 3 minutes, I'm going to read a highlight of this person's resume. This is a security supervisor that we just hired. His name is Mike, and this is a quick bio of Mike. Tell me if you think we could benefit from this. Mike was a state trooper at one time. Now, that's for you guys that speed around here. I told him to be watching out for y'all. He was a state trooper. Mike has been a fire captain. He was so good at being a fire captain, he actually got promoted to chief. From that point, he became a probation parole officer. Now, there may be some people in here that maybe could use a probation officer, I'm not sure. He also was the transportation manager for the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. He oversaw their transportation. They had 21 shuttle buses, 30 bus drivers, 7 parking enforcement officers. A little bit bigger than Friends Homes. Most recently, he is the Deputy Director of Public Safety for Pennsylvania County. Guess what? He works at Friends Homes now. And he is excited. So what do we want? We want him to stay excited. So what my challenge is to you, not only with security and transportation, but our dining, wait staff, our housekeepers, our maintenance. When I tell you we're doing everything in our power to get good people. I told you how challenging it is to get good people. Once we get them in the door, let's do everything in our power to keep those good people. And how do we do that? When you're frustrated or tired, we tend to tell people what we think. So I'll pick on this because I was in West and this actually just happened. We had a brand new security officer, fresh out the gate. Been trained, second shift, supervisor wasn't here, maybe Rory Gilbert, and had a call. And he got lost. He didn't know that to get to 1,000, you can't go to 5,000. And a resident found him and said, "What's going on?" I can't get to 1,000. He was panicked because he couldn't find it. He couldn't figure it out. And they kind of went off on him. "You're our security. Why don't you do that?" Blah, 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 blah. Now, the guy didn't leave, but he went back to his supervisor and says, "I don't know if I want to work here." Okay? So I tell you that to say, collectively, between our 630 residents, not 420 employees, 360 employees, we have a job to do. Are we going to be a welcoming, inclusive community, understanding we're all going through this? Come on, my friend, I will help you. Now, real quick, I'm not telling you got to train our staff. That is not your job. That is our job. That is our job. But what I'm asking for your help is that when those new people come in and are flustered or scared or intimidated or whatever, remember how you were when you first got to Friends Homes. And that person, because I know this happened, the person that reached out to you, that neighbor, said, "Well, they told me when dining is, but I don't remember." And they took you by the hand and said, "I'll help you." We are an awesome community. And we need to make sure we project that in everything that we do. So what I'm asking for you today is, as we're working very diligently to get people here, let's make sure that we're keeping them and welcoming them to say, "This is why you came to Friends Homes, and we're glad you're here." And that does not mean for you to accept poor behavior, bad service, or if we tell you we're going to do something, you do it, to say, "Well, it's COVID, we'll let it go." No. Missy and I and your leadership team want to know where we are still failing, or where we're not meeting the expectations. But our frontline staff, our mid-level managers, we want you to love them, thank them, because at the end of the day, those 365 are making up for the 65 that are not here. And we don't want it to be 360 or 355. So collectively as a group, we're going to do that together. So I want y'all to help me with that as we continue to try to retain this good staffing that we have. I want again to thank you and acknowledge the sacrifice that I know you're making, the sacrifice you've been making in dining with reduction of services, the sacrifice you're getting ready to make with housekeeping, with reduction of services. We wouldn't wish this on our worst enemy. Again, you cannot make this up. But we are strong. We're a strong community. We've got great foundation. We've got great roots. We've got a great board that is behind us and is supportive. And we will get to land, I know, very soon. So I want to share a little bit about the budget. I told you what we're trying to do for staff, and we're very excited about that. We've got a couple things in the budget that I hope some of you may find worthwhile and beneficial. So beyond the wage increase, one of the things that we also are trying to put in the budget is some of you are like technology and like high-speed internet, and if you're like me, I'm not a big fan of Spectrum. And our internet is not the best here. It's even worse at West, believe it or not. And so in next year's budget, we have money in there to move to what's called single digits. Single digits used to be called Viacom. They support senior living communities with TV, telephone, internet, high-speed internet. And that's actually who we're using for our townhomes and going to be in our expansion units over at West. We have in our budget for them to come in, even though we still have our contract with Spectrum is not in until May of 23. They pretty much told us, "We're not letting you out. Keep paying us, and you keep getting the same service you've always been getting." We are going to bring single digits in, hopefully next April, to put high-speed internet throughout our entire campus. That's independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, both at West and Guilford. Yes, we will be paying 2 people for high-speed internet, but we're only going to be using 1, and that's not Spectrum. So that's in our budget for next year. So we're very excited about that because more and more everything runs off of the internet. Again, they are focused on senior living. They know our industry. They come very highly recommended. Another thing that we've done is typically, when I got here about 5 years ago, we really didn't have a capital budget. For the most part, we kind of waited until things broke down and we fixed it. And so one thing the board said is we want you to have a 5-year capital budget and we want you to be more proactive versus reactive. And that's what we've been doing. For the last 5 years, our capital budget has been around $2 million a year of money going back into our campus, right? For repairs, renovations, you name it. Next year's budget is $3 million worth of capital items. So there's a multitude of things here, but I'm going to give you some high-level things that we're looking at. I told you that we just hired our new supervisor for security. One of the things that he is getting focused on is transportation. The board 5 years ago, with their strategic plan, gave us kind of a directive on a lot of things. But they told us 3 key areas they want us to work on. They want us to work on activity enhancement. They want us to have great activity programming, not only on campus, but opportunities for off campus. Second thing they want us to do is they want us to have a robust dining program. They wanted us to make sure that we get a program that will be talked about, not only by our current residents, future residents, and those outside the community. I know we're not there. I understand that. But that's our challenge, and that's what everything we're doing, we're working toward. Third one is they want a robust wellness program. Those 3 components, the board has supported us by either building infrastructure or putting revenue there to support that. It is management's job to continue working toward to make sure we actually have that program that you can benefit from. So with that, our new security supervisor says, I need to look at the vehicles we have for transportation so that we can do these activity programs. Right now, outside of medical transport, we only got 2 buses. We got like a 23-passenger bus, but guess what? It doesn't have a lift. Some of us need a lift. And we have a 13 or 14-passenger bus that has a lift. 1 vehicle is not enough. So first thing he said is we need another bus, another 13 or 14-passenger bus. So we have money in the budget for a new 13 or 14-passenger bus. All right, who's in Woolman? Who in here lives in Woolman? All right, I was just at one of these hall meetings, and I can't see the other day, 6th floor Woolman. And I sat on one of your nice couches, and I fell into it. And somebody had to help me out. Is anybody here from 6th floor Woolman? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if you were there, Jane and I, but one of the things they said, when's the last time you looked at our furniture in these living rooms? And I went, can you help me out first? So one of the comments was, hey, we need to look at that. And shame on me, it was already on Missy's radar. Missy and I haven't had a chance to talk too much because we're all kind of doing different things. And so we just had a budget meeting, actually yesterday, kind of kick off. So we've got money in the budget to look at replacing furniture for Woolman living room, and even I know we've done some in Fox, but even maybe some Fox or whatever. So we've got some money in the capital budget for that. We also, this came up, I think, from the grounds committee, I'm not sure, but Missy pointed this out too. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look at, sit in some of the composite benches that were part of our new entrance coming off of Ridgecrest. The committee said we'd like to look at those and maybe use those type of benches to put maybe 15, 20, 24 throughout the Guilford campus. So Missy got that in the budget. Again, it has not been approved. This is what we're presenting to the board. I want to make sure, but this is what's in the budget. We've got things for wellness equipment, all the kind of nuts and bolts things. But now we got some repairs that are coming about. We're looking at replacing HVAC units and hobs, both in the apartments and in the hallways, also in Fox. We're looking at a Woolman Fox. We've got exhaust fans that need to be upgraded. We actually, one of the things that was Missy's idea, which I think is an awesome idea, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, our long-term plan is to build assisted living that can support couples. How awesome is that? How sad is it when couples have to be separated? So our long-term plan is, let's build assisted living that can support either 2 residents that need assisted living or one that needs assisted living and maybe the other one's independent, but they can still be together. Well, that's 10 or 15 years down the road before we're going to build that. Missy said, I think we can do that in Fry. We've got these units. I think we can combine apartments and create couple units. Guess what? We love that idea. We love it. So we got money in the budget to modify some units at Guilford Fry so that we can create couple units. So again, kudos to Missy and your team for coming up with that idea. Missy and the group have been working, I don't know if Don Hoagland's in here, but we've been working with the Whittier Courtyard, which is 5 years, has always been a struggle for us. So we got a grant coming, we're looking at some long-term support as far as maintenance of it, but not everything is covered by the grant, so Missy put some money in the capital budget to supplement what the grant will pay for the Whittier Courtyard. Landscape enhancements. I think I was just at a resident board meeting, and y'all talked about y'all wanted some additional landscaping as it relates to different areas around here, so we put some extra money in there. Not saying we're going to do it, but if we make some decisions, you got to have some money to pay for it. So we got that in here for future discussion. Let's see, I think there's other stuff in here, but that's kind of nuts and bolts. So that is part of the $3 million budget. So that is another thing that we're presenting to the board. So a very robust program. I will say from a raw food standpoint, I don't know how many of y'all still buy groceries or go out or whatever, but again, if you have not been hit by cost of food, it's been a little crazy lately. So we have a typical I think we're projecting 3.5% for food for next year, but we've also bumped it up in another, I think 5 or 6%, because what we want to do is we want to take our dining program up even to the next level. So we're putting even more money into our budget for next year. So overall, we have a very challenging budget. Going into 21 years, this is the most challenging budget I've ever worked on, but there are a lot of positive things that are coming out of it, and I promise you the burden of that, the majority of the burden of that is not on your backs, okay? You need to hear me, I need you to trust me. We've made a lot of progress on how to support these things going in. So, very excited about that. So let me get a couple other things, so I want to open it up for questions. Let's see, COVID I talked about. Did I talk about, I'm so sorry, because I just talked about this West. Did I talk about vaccinations or staff? Okay, good, okay. Sorry, thank you for that. Okay, staffing. One of the things we had hoped to do, whenever you have an emergency call, I've been saying this for 5 years, and I know nobody wants to call 911. I get it. And we've had a plan, and as Donna says sometimes, hope is not a plan, right? So we've had a plan to move toward our security personnel being EMT certified, because we want to move away from our nurses being the first responders for emergency calls in independent living. And you go, well, why is that? Because their primary job is in healthcare. And so if they're in the middle of passing meds, they have to stop what they're doing, count their meds, lock up the narcotics, and then come. It doesn't work. It's how things are done, it just doesn't work. And it's also potential for risk. So we came up with a plan, look, let's hire security, let's make sure they're EMTs, let them be the first responders. And then we're like, great, we're going to do this, we're going to hire them, and we're going to roll this out October 1st, which is 30 days away. Well, in the last 7 months, the pay rate for EMT has gone up 50%. Guess what? We can't get EMTs. So we're struggling. So we're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to do that October 1st. Is it still our long-term goal? Yes, because we believe in it. And we'll get there, but not October 1st. So as we're going through this, when I share with you, training is not your job. That's our job. But I can tell you how things are supposed to work. Like, you should have housekeeping once a month. You should be able to go in the dining room at lunch and dinner. But the facts are, that's not reality. The reality is, we don't have the manpower to do that. So from a safety standpoint, I'm telling you, we've got 24-hour staffing at West, we've got 24-hour staffing at Guilford, we got 24-hour man phone line. Do people call out? Do we have issues? Yeah, they do. So what I'm going to tell you, if you don't hear anything else, Security is a major priority for us, top priority. It's in our mission. If you have any doubt about an issue, I want you to call 911. I've been saying it for 5 years. I want to tell you, because it's actually, again, you think all I do is talk about West. You probably think, well, he's a West, you probably talk about Guilford. No. But we had a situation in West where an employee, a resident saw another resident fall. They called security. Security said, all right, I'm going to get the rover to come and get the nurse. The nurse, because that rover was not EMT, so the nurse was in the middle of a med pass. It took 15 minutes to get there. So I got chewed out. Shouldn't take 15 minutes. Did you call 911? Nope. Call security. That's what you're here for. I went, please, in the future, if you think someone's life's in danger, let's don't get into a contest about how things are supposed to work. If you truly feel, if you see someone in that parking lot, like, why is that person messing with that person's catalytic converter? That looks suspicious. Don't try to find security to go figure it out. You call 911 and say, hey, I need the police here to get over here. And then you can pull your emergency pull cord, call security. But right now, what I'm asking you is, we have security. We are going to continue supporting security. We're going to continue to make sure it's robust. But if you truly feel there's an emergency situation, you call 911, pull the emergency pull cord. I promise you, 911 would rather come here and go, I'm glad everything's okay, I'm going to leave now, versus saying, man, we should have called him 30 minutes ago. Okay, so help me out with that. Help me out with that. All right, I've got one more thing, I believe, and then I'm going to turn it over to y'all. So I have failed new contracts. So I shared this 2 months ago. I've been sharing it several months. So our new residents moving in are under a new type of contract that is not a meal a day contract. It is a service credit. So they can use their service credit for meals. They can use it for guest rooms, housekeeping, which we're not doing in September. They can use it for guest meals. They can use it for transportation, maintenance. So our existing residents have a contract that's a meal contract. It's either a meal a day or 2 meals a day. Some have different contracts. So what I shared with you, there are a host of residents here that are not fully utilizing their meal a day or 2 meal a day contract. And I'll say you're leaving money on the table. It's not real money, but I'm saying you're leaving money on the table. So I want to talk to you about this new contract and whether or not you think it may be advantageous for you to switch. So Charlie has been watching y'all and how much you're eating or not eating. And she's identified about 30 to 45 people at Guilford and about 30 to 45 people at West that may benefit from the new contract. So at West, I set a goal, because I'm behind what I told you. By next Wednesday, I will be sending out a letter to the residents to tell you of a date that I would like you to come to hear about the new contract and to see if it's advantageous for you to switch. For those, I'll say, residents that have been identified, 30, 45, you will get a personal letter from me to say, I have identified you as someone, you need to come to this meeting. Not that you have to change, but it's probably in your best interest to change. Okay? So if you're on that list, you know who you are probably already. You will get a personal letter from me. It's going to be addressed to you personally. If you're not on that list, you'll just get a standard letter saying, hey, we're having this meeting about the new contract. If you'd like to come, because we're open. So if you'd like to come, we'd love to have you. I'm trying to see if there's anything about construction. We're still on go for the Wellness Center, March of 22, with hopefully the Wellness Center opening in April. Okay. What I'd like to do now, and are you going to walk around? Is that okay? I'd like to open it up for questions, comments. Again, I want to apologize. I have, although Angela said I have, I'm going to say 10 minutes, I'm going to say I have 15 minutes. If you have anything that really is like a personal nature, if you can hold on to that, maybe we can talk offline. But if you have any questions that are holistically or for the betterment of the campus or Friends Homes, please let it fly. Let it fly. You, Don?
If you hold on a second, I can pass you a mic.
Yeah, let's use the microphone because we're recording this, and that way they can hear their question.
Two things. I haven't heard it yet.
Okay?
The first is, We may be short-staffed at healthcare, but they are working hard
Yes,
and
they are.
effectively and lovingly. And I know because my wife is there.
Thank you, Don.
Everybody here ought to know that.
Thank you.
The second thing is this, going to dining. I think we're right that yesterday at lunch, we saw 5 supervisors and 3 wait staff. You might want to check with Alex as what's going on. We seem to have a lot of supervisors telling a few people what to do.
Okay.
If I'm wrong on that, I apologize.
Now, look, I told some jokes, and y'all didn't laugh at that. But, all right, gotta know where my priorities are. Thanks, Don.
I'm coming. Oh, Tracy got it?
I understand there's a shortage of staff. Have you ever considered using some of the residents as volunteers?
Yes, so actually, thank you for bringing that up. That actually came from both West and Guilford. And remember what I was telling you, I'm so thankful for y'all doing y'all's part, because y'all are, a lot of y'all are saying, what about me? What can I do? So we have both got guidance both from legal, everything's legal nowadays, legal as well as insurance from a liability standpoint, where pretty much they all settled. Unless you're an employee, the things that residents can do is provide additional support as far as taking people from maybe the beauty shop or something like that. They cannot provide any care-related services. They should not be providing any wait-type services, any type of services that we employ people to do. But where we're trying to utilize our residents is companionship, because right now with the staff, a lot of times staff are just going from place to place, and residents are starving for companionship and just to have someone to talk to, and helping us with some just getting from point A to point B. So it is something that came from both West and Guilford. We did take it to both legal and our insurance, and that's the guidance that we gave. So I apologize, because I know that's not what y'all want to hear, but that's where we're under. So if we did do something outside that, then we accept a lot of risk. Thoughts, comments? Yes, ma'am. She's coming to you.
With all the changes in dining in the next few weeks, is it still going to be open for breakfast?
So I'm gonna look at, yes, thank you, Jesus. Yes, it's open for breakfast. And here's why I'm saying thank you, Jesus, because I've got about 5 or 8 residents, because they lost their breakfast, because we shut the dining room down. So they've been coming over here. And by the way, for those that eat breakfast, some of you have gone above and beyond to welcome them. Thank you. They made a comment to me about that. They feel very, when we talk about trying to bring the communities together, we can make it or break it. But I appreciate it because they said, they're really nice. I'm like, what did you think they were? I mean, so anyway, so it's been a good experience. But yeah, so we're going to still have breakfast. Yeah. Speaking of this, I'm sorry, because I know, and I apologize because Missy and I talked about this, but I never got her if she's okay with this. But this came up at West. And so I'm going to put this out there, not for y'all to answer, but just to contemplate. One of the things that staff miss, and I know Missy misses and I miss, is eating with y'all. To some extent, I used to actually eat with some of y'all, right? Not only with staff, but I would eat with some of the residents. And COVID came along, and the reason why we cut that out. And then with changes and stuff, we just said, no, staff, they're still eating the food, but we need to make sure we're taking care of the residents. So nobody's eating with the residents. And we all struggle with that on a personal level, but we get it. We understand why. At West, in their dining committee, they asked, can at least Donna and myself eat with them at lunch and at dinner? Now, some of you may go, yeah, they want to see what we're going through. And I'm like, yeah, that may be the reason, but that's not the reason why I would want to do it, right? Because I don't want you to think that your comments fall on deaf ears. We know what's going on. We know where we're falling short. But what I heard they said is, we miss the opportunity of fellowship. Because right now, we feel like the only time we communicate with you, or you communicate with us, when there's a problem, or I got an issue. And we're losing that sense of community of just breaking bread. So Don and I were like, go back to your resident board if y'all are okay of us encroaching on your space, Don and I are happy, well, I'm saying Missy and I haven't talked to her, but we'll be more than happy to join you and break bread, right? To have a meal with you and just talk about life in general so that we can start, again, that connection. So I'm not saying that we need to do that here at Guilford. It got brought up at West. I love the idea because I miss y'all, right? And we're all very busy, but I'd love to break some bread with y'all if that's something that y'all are up for. So, Jane, yes, breakfast continues. So very happy about that. Questions, comments, zingers?
I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I know,
You should be right here then.
oh,
That was a joke, people. Golly, this is a tough crowd.
You talked about us being required to donate money, and we are donating money to the Greenway to,
Oh, yes.
okay.
Yeah, charity care. Sorry, it's part of our charity care.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, finish your question.
Well,
Sorry.
my question is, can some of the money that's getting donated out go to our staff?
Great. Okay, so her comment is all around this concept. We are a nonprofit. And so we get tax exemption for property taxes. Right now we get, well, we don't fully get sales tax, whether you realize or not, there's been this big push within the state. So we're going to have to start paying sales tax on 2% of our raw food for independent living, but that's for another day. I feel like I'm looking at you through, but in order for us to get property tax exemption, we have to show that 5% of charity care, our support, is going to support either residents that have depleted their assets, and maybe are on Medicaid or under scholarship, or other programming, like we bring other nonprofits in, they use our space, you name it, we donate it, like if we redo furniture, we donated furniture to like Habitat for Humanity. And so over the last couple of years, our Medicaid census has gone down drastically. And that's usually where we have always been above our 5% for charity care. So the question is, last year we were below our 5%. And in order for us to keep our property tax exemption 100%, we had to donate about $300,000. Now, you might go, ugh, well guess what? It's either going somewhere, or it's going to the government, or it's being utilized by our residents through Medicaid. So it wasn't being utilized through Medicaid. Don't take this the wrong way if you're a government employee. We just didn't want to give the city of Greensboro money for property taxes, because once they get a little taste of it, it's hard to get rid of them. So what we said is, we want to keep our property tax exemption. How best can we use this? So we used it for we cannot give it back to our staff. It has to go outside of the organization. It's either got to be done through a reduction in cost, right? So we don't charge $310 a day for skilled nursing. We only charge you $150. That we can count as charity care. It can go in reduction in entrance fee. So we have started people coming in that don't necessarily financially qualify for some of our studios or one-bedroom partial kitchens. We've been modifying entrance fees to get them qualified. That's charity care. So we have to give it to the outside nonprofits. So we decided to give it to UNCG, GTCC, and A&T for nursing and CNA scholarships. So in a way, we are giving money to something that does support us. Because if they grab, and then we get opportunities to go to those places and go, Fritz Holmes, hey, that scholarship, that came from us. Can't require them, but it gives us a face. And then the Greenway. One of the things that is special about Friends Homes, one of them, is when I say the connection to nature. Now, go back 18 months ago when we killed all these trees and everything else, y'all might be going, yeah, so much you care about nature. But there is a connection here to nature. So when we looked at the utilization of the North Track and how do we bring nature in, when we met with the City of Greensboro Parks and Rec, and they talked about, you're 1 mile away from the Greenway. What if we connected that Greenway? So then the board said, yes, that benefits the greater community, but wholeheartedly benefits Friends Homes. And so to connect to nature and give us that access. So that's what we're doing. And we're actually going to probably be in that situation again this year, because we still have very low Medicaid census. So the board's going to have to figure out what are we going to do. Are we going to pay property taxes, or are we going to be strategic and give it to other nonprofits that potentially benefits Friends Homes on the back end? Great question. Great question. I've got maybe 4 minutes, and I'm on. Huff it out here.
We do have our allocated so much per month per food, and if we understand what we're allocated, I know we don't get it back, but where does this extra money go? I'd like to see it go to staff pay, or staff incentives. I'd like to know where it is going.
Thank you. So there is not enough time in a day for me to explain this to the depth that I like to explain it. I am a financial person, which means I want to get into the nuts and bolts. I will not do that to you. So I'm going to give you a high-level explanation that most residents saying, thank you, that's, I get it, that's enough. So the first thing I need to share with you is it's not real money, okay? I don't have time to explain to you that it's not real money. It wasn't real money before when you had that little card and it punched. You ate a meal and they punched it. This is not real money. It's just a way for you to have more control in how you utilize your meals versus going in there and saying, I'm not that hungry today. I'll just get an apple and a piece of chicken. In the old day, that was a punch. Well, now it's $3.50, and now you can use that money for another meal or whatever it case may be. The way I liken it is when you came to Friends Homes, whether you use the amenities, whether you use the pool, which I know is not open right now, whether you participate in activities, whether you use the walking trails or participate in gardens, you're paying for all of this, whether you use it or not. The dining room, you're paying for that staff that's normally in there, whether you use that dining room or not. If you don't eat in there, it's not $10 that, because you're still paying, the majority of the cost in there is the staff. The food is more like $4 a meal or something like that. There's staff, that $10 takes care of food and labor. So it doesn't go anywhere. You're paying for a cost to run the community. So it's not real money. That's probably the biggest thing you need to know. It's not real money. We did this to give you the flexibility to have choice and maybe stretch your options so that if you had a meal day, you can do more if you want to. Because what we found is most people were not fully utilizing the dining program. So not sure I answered your question, but that's it in a nutshell. And this will be my last question. I apologize, I do have to go. Yes, ma'am.
And this is not a question.
Okay, even better.
I
Hopefully.
want you to know that I'm very pleased that you're looking at a living wage for the employees here. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody should, yeah, thank you.
Everybody should clap.
Yeah, everybody should clap for that. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for your patience. I'll promise you I will not schedule anything next time we have our chat, so I'll have more time. Thank you all.
Since you're a trustee of Guilford College, you know Court Twain.
Yeah, very nice guy.
He's one of our boys.
What do you mean?
Carolyn had 2 boys.
Get out of here.
He's one of them. He's the oldest.
Thank you for sharing that. He's awesome. He's very nice. Very nice. Good to see you.
I'm glad you're on.
I too. Thank you.
Hey, Bob.
Is this a portal that allows you to cross over to another universe?
Yes. No, it's a light. Come around here. I want to show you.